know you had some baseball you want to touch upon. Like you said, we're right there on the edge of the All-Star break, so take it away, my friend.
Oh, so I mean, baseball right now. Again, we're coming up on the break, and so summer baseball is a bit different than when we first start in the spring. Now it really is the case of who's hot, who's not. A lot of guys are going to slump that first month, two, maybe even the first 3 months of the season. But again, now we see a lot of players dropped, whether it's to injuries or again, like Tim Anderson's one of like the just saddest stories in baseball. His rise and fall needs to be studied. Um, but right now, kind of a division shakeup, and who looks like again who's really got the most momentum through into the playoff race. So just to quickly summarize what we've missed probably in the past couple weeks, Yankees 3-7 in their last 10. Orioles have jumped them in the division ahead by 3 games. Technically, there are games going on right now. It's Wednesday at the time of this recording, so we'll see if they're able to come away with a win for Game 2 against their series against the Rays right now. But they did lose Game 1 last night. Guardians are still holding strong in the American League Central. Got 6 games ahead of the Twins, but the Tigers. Interesting stat I saw today. I believe there's something like 24-10 in games when they score 3 runs or more. It seems like just about every time, too, in the past couple weeks, I check a score. It looks like the Tigers might be dropping one for the night. They're down 2-0, 3-0, and the next thing you know, they have the lead by 3, 4, 5 runs. Crazy game that they had last night, too. They came away with a win against the Guardians. So it's looking like a very interesting division for the American League Central, which didn't seem too much like in early off in the year. The Guardians I think were ahead by at least like 12 or 13 games at one point. The American League West, just a moment on that. If I had a no bet list, it's almost the entirety of the division because it's gotten more competitive, but these are some of the downside teams in the league outside of the Astros. The Astros have came from, I think they had the same amount of wins at one point in the season as the White Sox to now they're just 2 games out of first place in their division against the Mariners. The Mariners were very hot. They went on a bit of a downslope. I believe they won last night, so they're 4-6 over their last 10. But Mariners aren't looking as consistent as they were. Astros are looking like continuing to be the Astros. I would not doubt that they finish first in their division. If anybody maybe called that earlier in the year with how badly they were performing, a future on Astros to win first in the division looks pretty damn good right now with only 2 games behind coming up on the All-Star break. The Athletics keeping it a bit more competitive than the White Sox, but still not one of the best teams in the league. Outrageous game the other day. I think there was like 22 runs scored between them, and I want to say it was the Orioles. They have the ability to generate offense, but just not much in the way of pitching, which we're seeing at approaching the trade deadline and the All-Star break. A lot of teams are looking to see what they can do for relief pitching, but so many teams are in it right now. There's definitely going to be a lot less trades, I think, this summer than we expect out of previous years, just because, again, we're talking about, again, the Rangers as well. They've been a team that's been very hot and cold, but right now they're 7-3. Do I believe they will carry that consistency past and through the All-Star break? No, but I believe you gave them out a day ago or 2 days
I
ago.
did, yep, on
If,
Monday.
if you could catch them in a good spot right now, probably a good pick. But for that reason, all these teams, honestly, besides the Astros would still be on a bet list if we're talking about straight up money lines. When they're coming into a series, maybe game 1 of a series against an inferior team, Astros still look like a good team. But right now, Athletics, Angels, Rangers, and Mariners in the American League West, just a little too inconsistent for my taste, despite even, again, the uptick in offense for the Athletics and what we covered there. But the National League East, somehow, the Phillies have survived through their litany of injuries, still keeping the Braves at bay. Braves kind of finding some type of consistency over there. They're back to 6-4, but again, they've suffered so many injuries throughout the year. It's actually a testament to how good they still are throughout all those injuries, and just they're 7.5 back from the Phillies, but also a testament to how good that overall roster is. They just got back Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner just a couple weeks ago as well. So you're seeing a full strength Phillies team now. It'll be interesting to see if they can lengthen their stride after the All-Star break and keep that going into the playoffs this year, because their biggest issue is pitching. Mets have had a fair turnaround. They're at exactly dead 45 and 45, despite being 5-5 over their last 10. They did, I want to say, hit a 7 or 8 win streak a week or two back. I don't believe we had a show in between there when that occurred. So they got really hot. They've slowed down back to about 500, but one makes the argument that, again, Mets look good for a wild card competing against the Braves right now. And last, I'll just say in the National League West with the darling Dodgers right now, their bullpen is just in shambles, and so is my futures bet on Tyler Glasnow. He was put on the IL, I believe, 2 days ago to a back injury. And again, it's just another one of those added to the list. Every above average team right now is hurting for pitching. And so with that being said, I've been playing a lot of batter props. That's my take on it. If you were going to avoid any teams, I would say for the most part, it would be in the American League West. Or again, perhaps fade those teams when you could get steal odds, like I had mentioned, like you did. You only got minus 150, I think, for that Rangers pick the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Really should have been, again, those really hard to pick favorites, minus 190 and above. So advantageous situation here. If you are a money line better, I would advise waiting for about a week after the All-Star break and really see where the consistency remains in the top two of each division. That's really been my rule of thumb. I really try not to put my money on anybody that's not in first or second place or just a game out of second, and really ride that. But again, right now, pitching has just been tough across the league. Tailing players, Ellie De La Cruz, William Contreras on the Brewers, just to name a couple guys, again, just on an absolute tear over the past 20, 30 days. So if you've been looking at the odds that you get for maybe two different guys to get a hit on any given night, or one player to get 2+ hits, a lot of value there and a lot less of a sweat than some of these games.
The team that really sticks out to me is the Diamondbacks. They started off a little rocky, and then slowly but surely, you see this last week and a half to 2 weeks, they're just creeping up and up and up and coming online kind of around the right time of the year. They took that series against the Dodgers really definitively. They had that
Mm-hmm.
nice series against the Padres. They had the comeback. They had the top of the ninth destruction, I believe, eighth or ninth, where they put up the 7, 8 runs. I like them a lot. They're struggling right now against the Braves. They come back to earth a little bit. But in terms of where they started versus where they are and where they could be at the deadline and beyond, that's most definitely a team I have my eye on. I don't think the odds makers are going to be fully privy to that. I think you can get them at some excellent plus money or like even odds against those Dodger teams, Padres, those West Coast teams that maybe get a little bit more of attention than Arizona and the smaller market out there, just kind of chilling. So that's definitely going to be a team I look at, especially as we get down the stretch and the playoff race tightens up, because that's another team. And here's another point we can touch upon. When you are betting on a team and you have to go dumpster diving a little bit, right? And they're out of the playoff race. Not out of the playoff race, if they're out of the playoff picture, but they're in the playoff race,
Which I
that
think there's
means
only 4 teams that it looks like right now that are pretty much, no matter what happens, won't make the playoffs. And that's
mhm.
saying something. There's really only 4 teams right now that are really out of it. And so how many teams might be willing to give up pieces they have if it looks like they're contending? But
And not only that, every game down the stretch is going to matter, right? In previous years, like you said, where perhaps the parity wasn't as close, you're going to have games where one team clearly wants it more than the other team. Or perhaps there's a team that has first place all locked up. They're just chilling in August. Are they really going to go out there and give 110% to win a random afternoon game? That can vary. However, with the heightened parity in the league, I do think those underdogs, like the plus 120s to plus 110s, who are going to have to come out, fight, scratch, and claw for that playoff position every single day. Because, like you said, we're looking at a very extended, elongated playoff race here. I would almost say it's about to start. I know it may seem a little early, but with all the parity, and I really think we're in it right now.
I
So
agree.
that's definitely a side I have my eyes on. I think the Diamondbacks are going to be able to make us a good amount of money here. And another team I'd like to touch upon that's kind of gone under the radar. I think they've exceeded expectations, but they need pieces at the deadline if they want to do anything. Is the Red Sox. The Red Sox were not supposed to be
Yep.
in a playoff position. Their fan base was not happy with them at all. The way they managed their roster, their aggression or lack thereof, and how they went out and got pieces. They lost Giolito and they lost Story to injury, and yet there they are in the wild card spot. They're taking games against the Yankees. They're coming out. They're winning big at Fenway. So that's another sneaky little team there I have my eye on. Will they make a postseason run? I don't believe so. But coming down the stretch, I think that's another team that's going to surprise people in how well they perform against, that top echelon Yankees, Orioles, the big boys of the league.
Well, and to your point, just really quick about the Diamondbacks, it was about this time last year that they, I believe, had the worst or the second worst odds to make it to the World Series. And, well, you see what they did last year. So that's always something to keep in mind, too. The team that you least expect, if they are just a little bit in it at the halfway mark, baseball is a very, very long season. And to your point, even about the Red Sox right now, there's only a 3.5 game difference between them. Yankees are 3-7 in their last 10. The Red Sox are 7-3. The Red Sox, as an organization, would love nothing more than to take what the conversation was about the Yankees in the first half of the year, or maybe one would argue the first third of the year, and have the Yankees fighting out of third place between the Red Sox and the Orioles going into August. That would be probably the biggest turnaround story of the year. But yeah, so a lot of things are possible at the halfway through point if the right team gets hot.
You got me feeling lucky. I'm putting everything on black.